Was Candle simply that important to the kingdom? And if she was, does that mean she was specifically targeted? Could her connection to the celestial dragons be the real reason why they came to Esperia in the first place? This is why I say this. When we look at other examples throughout One Piece, celestial dragons rarely travel without a purpose.
I agree with basically everything you said. There was one piece that I think that comes a little later in the chapter, so I guess we could wait. But it does seem as though they were affiliated.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay the heavenly tribute anymore, and then were demanded to give the slaves up.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's later. So
the heavenly tribute only came up after the celestial dragons had visited them.
But
I was saying how Brook has like a fascinating way of saying something without directly saying it, which is something I agreed with you. He tells Shuri that Lady Candle is the light of Esperia's admiration and the sun that shines upon their country. Yet when the celestial dragons arrived, Lady Candle became bedridden for several months. And because of her condition, the entire kingdom fell into a gloomy state, as if the sun had set upon their kingdom. If Lady Candle was truly as important to Esperia as Brook describes, and the celestial dragons recognize that importance, I think it's reasonable to consider the possibility that something horrific happened to her during this visit. My theory is that Lady Candle may have been essayed and became pregnant as a result, which could explain why she was bedridden for such an extended period of time. Also, they said the mist only lasted for about 6 months before it turned into toxic smoke. This could also potentially explain Shuri's unique eye color, which neither Candle or Reuven appears to have. If Shuri's surname, Manmayer, belongs to her biological father, and that father was a celestial dragon, then it would suggest that the celestial dragons who came to Esperia and exerted influence over the kingdom was a member of the Manmayer family. If this theory is correct, then we're missing a massive piece of this story surrounding that period of time. However, the question that stands out most to me is, if King Reuven knew that Lady Candle was pregnant, why would he choose to marry her afterward? Was Candle simply that important to the kingdom? And if she was, does that mean she was specifically targeted? Could her connection to the celestial dragons be the real reason why they came to Esperia in the first place? This is why I say this. When we look at other examples throughout One Piece, celestial dragons rarely travel without a purpose. Saint Jolmak visited the Goa kingdom on a diplomatic mission because of the kingdom's loyalty to the world government. Saint Miosgard arrived at Fishman Island while attempting to recover his escaped slaves affiliated with the government. Saint Charles and his family traveled to Sabaody to purchase slaves in the illegal human auction house, right? Sabaody affiliated to the world government. In each of these cases, there was a clear motive behind their reason for their visit. Additionally, all of these locations had direct ties to the world government. As far as we know, Esperia does not share that same affiliation. They are not affiliated with the world government. So, why, for the first time, I think ever, would a celestial dragon go to an unaffiliated country of all places? We don't know. My personal belief is that Lady Candle herself was the reason. I think the Manmayer family specifically targeted her because she originally comes from Mary Jo. He said something about her possibly being a holy knight. We kind of all might have thought that a little bit. And it's possible that she escaped from the celestial dragons and fled to Esperia in search of freedom, only for her past to eventually catch up with her. Right. And this is why, and I'm going to connect it to the first part of the chapter, this is why she reveres having proper etiquette and strength as equal, instead of just strength.
I agree with basically everything you said. There was one piece that I think that comes a little later in the chapter, so I guess we could wait. But it does seem as though they were affiliated.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay the heavenly tribute anymore, and then were demanded to give the slaves up.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's later. So
the heavenly tribute only came up after the celestial dragons had visited them.
But the way that people respond is like, well, unaffiliated nations turn to lawless wastelands. Basically, we haven't been that. If we don't do this, we will be that. So like, to me, again, that's just my view of it. But the civilians speaking to the king or to Brook in that way tell me that they have been for this time. And then once everything kind of the resources, the music, everything dried up, they couldn't afford it. And it's like, okay, if you can't afford this, then do that. And he's unwilling to do that. And their turn, it's like causation kind of a thing. But that was my only pushback which is everything else I think is spot on potentially.
Yeah.
I agree with Sebastian. Also, only too, because like I think what I understand too, like lawlessness, because we saw when Brooke was even younger, the Marines were there visiting. I think if you're unaffiliated, you don't even get the Marines.
That's not true. Nami's village. Marines were there. They were associating with Arlong. They're not affiliated.
That was like back.
Hold on.
No, but there's also Marines that have gone to other places. I just have to think about them.
Yeah, that village, probably not. The kingdom that they might have been in, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like the kingdom as a whole probably is underneath the world government, and the Marines protect all the villages within it, and that village itself is just like whatever. Like they don't care about, like that kingdom doesn't care about it.
I think the possibility goes 50-50. I think what you guys could be saying is very, very true. But then I also look at it as from the aspect of they might have not been paying heavily tributes already, but once they became affiliated because they had to pay them, that's when they found out like, oh, if we don't pay, this is what I heard happens to our country. So I think it goes both ways. We just don't have enough information to dictate, oh, which one is likely the other. But I chose the 50-50 route. So I do think that both possibilities are very true.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning. Mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Shock. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm shining so bright, so bright. Don't come and try to share some of this light now. Give me a beat and I control it like a maestro. Ladies on a mission, they be trying to get me wiped up. Shawty, wait a minute, can't tell if I like ya. Gotta make sure you know how to shake it like a bartender. Team with me and they all winners. And you know we ballin' all winner.
So I do have a question though. So what do you think this mist is now? Because it wasn't like Candle was the only person that got sick.
Yeah.
It was,
So the mist part, I couldn't really figure out when I was taking notes because the mist comes up quite a bit. We know that there's a huge area of mist within the Florian Triangle, but then we also know that there was mist when Loki was attacking world government ships. And when it was said, was Loki near the Florian Triangle? They confirmed that he wasn't. So there was mist also somewhere around that area that wasn't the Florian Triangle. So I'm starting to think that this might be like a West Blue issue where the mist just happens to permeate at certain moments. Now, depending on like it turning into toxic smog, I don't know where that comes from. I kind of have a theory for the end of the chapter about it.
I do too.
But what I will say is there are many times mist has been involved in the West Blue. And it just comes out of nowhere. And there was also mist for King Harold, if we don't remember too, because he was also attacking pirate ships.
Oh,
in mist.
So I had two.
So there's 3 moments that the West Blue has mist out of nowhere. The Florian Triangle is the only one that's consistent, though.
Yeah, Florian Triangle, yeah.
My theory's not crafted well enough. Like, it's not a theory. Like, I haven't written it down. It's just something I thought of when you were saying this. But, like, is the mist maybe a result of, like, things that are happening? Like, if this is a holy night or whatever, and see the end of the chapter, whatever, seemingly summoning circles are being used, you know what I mean? To, like, appear.
We would have to wait for that, Brady.
Yeah.
The only thing I could say is maybe it's a previous devil fruit user. Maybe the gas fruit could probably be it, but I don't see how mist comes from gas like that. Even though mist is a gas, it's a different type of gas because with Caesar's, his was more poisonous more than anything, right? But then he was also able to manipulate like oxygen and stuff like that. So it could be a previous gas user that might appear later in the chapter. Who knows? But overall, I don't know if the mist is man-made. It could be, according to like the coincidences that was happening during that time with the Celestial Dragons. But I think I want to lean more towards the natural way of thinking that the mist has come up a couple times without somebody else providing the mist. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. I feel like on the ocean, like what I could tell, a fog can come. Why it's toxic, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the weird part.
Yeah.
My other thought was something completely different, but I don't think it works. So.